All right. So, West Charlotte, you guys are cementing a legacy over there. You take over as defense coordinator in 96. And then, after a couple more years, you go and follow Tommy to Independence. What went into that decision that you there?
Friday afternoon, Tommy came and said, I think I'm going to East Mecklenburg. Do you want to go? And I said, yeah, I'll go. Evidently, there was an administration change, and Tommy wasn't real happy with it, and he needed to get out, and he invited me to go. And I went home and told my wife, Candy, I said, we're going to East Meck. She said, okay. Monday we come to school, and that's changed, and we're going to Independence. He said, you still want to go? I said, yeah, I'll go. So that's when I found out we're going to Independence, and he asked all the coaches that wanted to go, and all the coaches decided to go with him over to Independence. Warren Bell, Ed Wedley, John Strong went also. So we all went to Independence.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep I want to go into that administration change, because I think, if I'm thinking correctly, it's the same reason they left Harding to go to West.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I ain't gonna say no names, but yeah,
I understand. And I was offered when he made it known he was going to move, I was offered that job, and I'll tell you some things off camera, but there's a reason why I decided not to stay at West Charlotte. So I followed him over there to Independence, and we finally got some other coaches we'd been trying to get on our staff, and Tommy said, all right, let's go to work at Independence. I think Chris Leak was the deciding factor. He had talked to the Richmond County coach, Coach Barnes, and Coach Barnes and he were good friends, good rivals, but good friends. And Barnes said, if you're going to throw the ball, who better than to have Chris Leak? So that's why he decided to switch from East Meck to Independence.
Good deal. And it ended up being a very smart decision.
Yes, very smart for all of us.
All right, so you're getting into Independence. Obviously, 2000, you guys lost the game to Anson County. And
No, we didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We lost to Crest. They said we lost to Crest. Video and film said we didn't lose to Crest, but the official said we did. So we had pictures that it was clearly a catch in the end zone. Wasn't incomplete, but they said we lost. So yeah, that was who we lost to, was Crest at Crest.
Got you. So then you didn't lose again for a while.
Right.
Starting the streak, as it became to be known as.
Right.
Getting started, what was really the catalyst and the formula that gave you guys the ability to just dominate teams and win all those games in a row?
I think it was the consistency and the continuity of the coaching staff. Tommy asked all of us to come. Everybody wanted to come to Independence. So we all knew each other. We were friends with each other. Some were in the school, some were not, had outside jobs, came to practice every day. And I think we had a young bunch of sophomores that were buying into what we did. And we had a spring practice that you're allowed when you're a new staff or whatever. So we're having practice and we're looking at these kids and we're going, what are we going to do? If we win 2 games, we're going to be lucky. Well, the kids just bought in and worked hard. And, Chris Leak, Superman, and you can do a lot when you got a guy who can play like Chris. He makes everybody better around him. And that's what happened. And we never talked about a streak. We never talked about how many games have we won. Each week was, hey, we got to win the next one. So that's how we did it.
And it was just amazing. And I know people feel like it was a lot of, magic beans, I guess, or something along those lines to win all those games in a row. And I tell you, I was coaching at Harding, back at that time. And, when we, looked at you guys didn't do a lot of complicated stuff. You knew what was coming for the most part. By then, Tommy's offense had, been dissected and, all that he had. You had people starting to copy it. And I'll tell you, we tried to take some of that stuff at Harding, when you had the the rollout comeback pass and some of the one back stuff he did, and the one back power especially behind that offensive line was deadly. And then you on defense, you never ran, a lot of complicated things, man. You just, you got your guys to play fast and physical. What was the big key behind all the success you guys had on defense over there at Independence?
I like to blitz and come from different spots because, to me, in my opinion, the offensive line is the hardest thing to play in high school. There's so many variables, if this, then that. So I would always try to bring one more than they could block and, get the guys to play hard and compete with each other. And, we'd go after it in practice against Tommy's offense. And we just tried to play hard and make turnovers. My saying was the thing that we did best on defense was stand on the sideline and drink water and clap. That's what we did best. So they bought into that too. So they want to get off the field and give the offense the ball. The problem was a lot of times they'd score so quick that my fat guys on defense would be so tired. I'd have to tell Tommy, slow it down a little bit. Run the ball just a little bit. Give me some time. Them big fat guys were tired. They used to cry on the bench. I said, I ain't got nobody else. Get in.
Well, it really didn't matter because, I would tell you, just coaching against you guys, we weren't going to try to run inside. I mean, you had great size in the middle. You had good size on defensive ends every year. And then, one of the things I remember was you're right about the blitzing. We were scared to death on how to pick that up. I was offensive line coach, and you're absolutely right. Going into play, you guys, it was hard enough trying to block the front four, and then you're worried about, linebackers coming. But you played a lot of cover four behind it.
Yes.
Not to give up big plays, which is smart with, the way your team is. So, I mean, it was hard as hell. It was hard.
Tommy used to say, Geiler, if you can't let them have the ball for 8 or 9 plays, either stop them and get a turnover or let them score quick so we can get back on the field. So, that just did not sit well with me. So I said, oh, we're not letting them score. I wasn't doing that. So, yeah, John will tell you, Tommy used to say, let him score, Geiler. We got to get that on the field. I could never get him to defer. He always wanted the ball first. And I'm like, man, can you give the defense a break, please?
Good problems to have.
Yeah, and early on, he would come down when he'd get bored and get in my business. He'd start trying to call defenses and this, that, and the other, and the kids would look at him and go, Coach, we don't have that defense anymore. He'd try to call stuff we didn't have. And he'd go, well, I'm the head coach. I can do that. I said, okay, but make sure we have 11 on the field this time. How about that? We played 1 with 9. I said, well, you called it.
That is awesome. That's awesome, man. All right, so Tommy, leaves for a year to go coach up at Duke, and then you take over as head coach. 2004 Independence. A lot of us in the know in the Charlotte area, we think that's the greatest team in North Carolina high school football history. I mean, you guys, you guys were amazing. I mean, just the talent and the way you just dominated games. What is the thing that made that team so special?
I think the kids liked each other. They policed each other. I had Hal doing the line. I turned the offense over to John. I don't think I've ever called an offensive play ever. And I said, John, you're going to have Hal. Terry Robertson was our quarterback coach. He was a great teacher and mentor for Joe. And Thomas Tedder coached running backs. And I took the defensive guys with me. Welvin and Rod Ledbetter and me did the defense. And, we would just not interfere. I didn't interfere with John, and he didn't interfere with me. We'd hit hard on Tuesday for about 4 or 5 plays. And, we just went out and played. Kids policed themselves. We didn't have discipline problems. We didn't have teacher problems. They all lifted weights every day. So it just made it fun. It was fun to coach. It really was. And my big thing, I think I tell people all the time, I was so smart, I had Hakeem Nicks on the bench. That's how smart I was. He still thought he was a basketball player, and he didn't dedicate himself. So I had Billy Wiggins, Massaquoi and Radon Ingram playing wide receivers. I mean, they could fly.
Yes.
And then,
yes.
you know, Hakeem would play every once in a while. He had great hands, but man, we never knew where he was going to go because he didn't know. So yeah, I had him on the bench.
Man, I tell you, you know, like I said, I was coaching that time. You guys came over to Harding that year, and I think it was 75 to nothing.
And Dominique didn't play because Joe only played the first quarter because he had the flu.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that, and then we were like, well, dang on, if this is how they are when they're sick, how are they when they're healthy?
And again, you know, your head coach at the time was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, he after the game, you know, I didn't want anybody to say anything that what I did. He said, you couldn't do any more.
Oh,
you know, we played everybody we could play. I mean, my whole thing was if you think about it, I don't think Joe or Muhammad played the fourth quarter of any game, but maybe the last championship game, because I didn't want to be that guy that looked at a parent and said, I kept your son in a game that was out of reach and he lost a scholarship because of me. And I just wasn't going to be that guy. So I'd tell John, Joe's done, Dominique's done, do something else, but they're not going back in. You know, I just worried about that as I didn't want to look somebody in the eye and say, I ruined your son's career because I kept him in the game too long. So we took starters out whenever we could and played everybody, every game, everybody played. You know, starting defense getting mad when the backups would give up a touchdown and stuff. And I'd say, well, you know what? Better work on it in practice then.
There you go. I mean, that team was just so awesome, man.
It was fun to coach that bunch. It really was. They worked so. I mean, you know, Joe and Muhammad worked all summer with all the offensive guys, and the O linemen worked with Coach Brown and lifted weights and ran and got in shape. You know, to play that kind of offense, you got to have big guys in shape because everything's hurry up, let's go. We're not waiting. So, you know, I've watched that championship game probably 25 times. I mean, it never gets old for me.
I don't blame you.
It was fun. It really was fun. That year was very much fun.
Who are some guys? I know you mentioned some of the players on offense. Defensively, who really stood out for you on that team?
Devin Howard was a nose guard that, as a ninth grader, he was the biggest pain in the butt you've ever seen. He didn't want to practice. He didn't want to study, but he went under the wing of Courtney Cord, who was the nose guard prior, and Courtney taught him the right way to do things, how to lift, and Courtney was his mentor. And Devin was a beast as a nose guard. You couldn't single block him. You had to double block him every single time, and he was just a beast in there. We had Brandon Autry play DB. He was a hawk. He thought he was a linebacker at 5'0". He would hit like a truck. We just had guys at every position that could run and play hard. So competition to get on the field was very, very, you know, strict.
You had some great teams, though. I mean, after the streak, you know, you stayed on and Tommy came back. And then you had some good teams throughout those next couple years, of course. And then, you know, you had some teams when you became head coach again from 2010 to 2012. There were some good teams in that group. What can you say about that group of kids?
You know, when Tommy left, they redrew the lines, and we lost some athletes to Rocky River, and you know, it dwindled down the numbers that we had, and we went 3-7. But the next year, with the same bunch of kids, you know, we went, I think, 12-3, 11-3, losing to Butler twice. And I don't know. They bought in John Strong. I talked him out of retirement again. He came and coached the offense for me. I met Joe Evans and brought him over. Jeremy Johnson brought him over. So we had some great kids. My ride or die, Jeff Jarris, came and coached DBs. You know, we just had coaches that liked each other and wanted to work with each other and loved the kids. And we would just tell them, just hang in. You know, it's going to get better. And it did. It got better.
Yeah, man. And I want to bring up a game to you. I went from Harding to Myers Park in 2011.
Okay.
And you guys came over to Myers Park in 2011, and that was a wild game. You guys
Joe Evans about got fired that night. We had the ball. All he had to do was friggin' take a knee, and he decides to throw a pass that's intercepted, and I couldn't believe it. I said, "What the heck are you doing?" So I about lost my mind that day. I was going to be the offensive coordinator from then on. That was not a good ride home. That was not good.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, you guys ended up pulling that one out, 56-55.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the best games I've ever been involved in as a coach, and just the experience, of something like that. Just the ebbs and flows and the comeback, like you said, the interception, and but you guys rose up and got it done when it counted. Just great stuff.
I do save his job. They loved Joe. They wanted to help Joe because I was mad. I'd lost my mind at that point. I couldn't believe it.